Today, we'll be looking at some factors that trouble children in more ways than we realize as parents, and it begins to cause them to behave below expectations, or they just begin to misbehave generally. Number one is when we burden children with our own problems. And what do I mean by that? You are constantly complaining to your children, telling them, oh, the house rent is due. I don't even know where I'm going to get money to pay the rent. I don't know where we are going to get money to pay your school fees. We don't know where we are going to, how we are going to feed. We don't know where you just burden children with your own personal issues. Yes, I know they can see. It's one thing for you to share problems, especially when teaching children problem solving skills. It's one thing to just talk to them about problems and ask them to just proffer solutions, all in a bid to teach them how to problem solve. That's a different thing entirely from you dumping all your entire problems on their shoulders. Many a times that's way too heavy for them to cope with mentally, and they begin to perform below expectations. These things begin to affect them psychologically, and they begin to react negatively. Number two is setting unrealistic expectations. As a parent, understand your children's strength, understand their weaknesses. Know your child that is very good when it comes to calculations. Know your child that is good in the act and guide them in that regard. Don't leave your dreams that you were not able to fulfill, your unfulfilled dreams. Don't leave it through your children. Oh, you wanted to be a medical doctor, you couldn't realize that, and you have a child that is so good in the arts. You have a child that wants to be in front of the camera, and you are pushing the child to go to science class. Of course, that way you are giving the child more trouble in life. Many a times they may manage to scale through, but they may end up not being fulfilled. And even along the line, you may not like the reaction, you may not like their character, you just may not be satisfied with their attitude, and that is us troubling our children, which is completely uncalled for. Another thing that can affect children is forcing them to grow too fast. What do I mean by that? Okay, you are a mother that has decided to be giving birth to children every other year. Now you have forced your 6-year-old to begin to parent. Has become the assistant parent to the siblings. The 6 years old is the one that has to drag all the children to school. We see that especially in these low income earning areas. Is one that has to drag all the children to school, take them back home, wash their school uniform, wash their bags. Sometimes it's the one that has to cook. I've seen a 6-year-old that has to make indomie for the remaining 3 younger ones, because the mother has to go to work, she has to go to her shop. Don't force your children to grow too fast. If you have decided to take God's commandment of going into the world and multiply, you have decided to take it personally, and you have decided to populate the world, have a plan for yourself. Probably you get a house help, or you decide to space your children. Allow children be children. Don't force your children to grow too fast. Or you are forcing a child in primary 4 to write common entrance. You are pushing them. You see 13 years old in SS2, 14 years old writing WAEC, writing JAMB. This is us forcing our children. We are giving these children more problem than we realize. It's at the end of the day, it doesn't add up well. Majority of those lapses, the experiences where the children have been robbed of, have been deprived of, you find that in the long run they will end up going back. That's why you see a lot of parents, a lot of childlike adults, because arrested development and a whole lot of things that ought not to have been. Then also, change in family situation has a very great capacity in affecting children. Change in family situation may be the loss of a family member. It may be change in the finances in the family. Now, when there's a sudden drop in the finances in the family, the wise thing to do is to call children and explain the situation to them. Let them know that sometimes we call it the finger of God. It is completely beyond everybody's capacity. Nobody can help the situation and all of that. Explain to children. Let them know that this is what is going on, so they don't feel like you just suddenly withdraw certain privileges from them and they are confused, they are wondering what is happening. It may not be easy, But in love, you can go through that process as a family, and the children don't have to come down with so much pain. It doesn't have to trouble them so much. And then also wrong labeling. When children misbehave, as a parent, try to take time to find out the root cause. There is always a reason for misbehavior. Children that misbehave, or the most stubborn children, like we always say, are the ones that need attention the most, because something is really up, something is really going wrong. So when children begin to misbehave, instead of labeling them, oh, you are now a very stubborn child, you are becoming useless, you are becoming difficult, you are becoming somebody I don't understand, instead of giving children wrong labeling, that will make the situation worse. Try to find out the root cause. Is there a new friend that is trying to influence this child negatively? Is the child going through pressure? Is there a teacher that is victimizing the child in school? Is the child being bullied? Even if he's a teenager, is there something else? Is there a new kid in the block that is bringing in deviant behaviors and is introducing to your children? Find out the root cause why the child is misbehaving, because when you begin to give the child the wrong labeling, you will make the situation worse. And then finally, we look at broken marriages and divorce. Now, when a marriage crashes, many a times it is usually the parties, the couples that have gone their separate ways. They are the ones that end up going for counseling. They are the ones that end up looking for ways to heal from the pain and all of that, and the children are left behind. Divorce is one issue that affects children terribly. They are filled with confusion, they are filled with pain. It's painful for your parents to just go apart. So when in a situation where parents have decided that this marriage is not working and we're going our separate ways, in seeking help for yourself, seek help for your children. Do not leave the children behind. And in whatever you do, try as much as possible to make sure that both parties are still in the lives of the children. Try as much as possible not to pour your guilt, your anger. Don't pour it out in the presence of your children. All of the pain. Don't share your pain. Don't share the failures of the marriage with. Yes, there are lessons to learn that you may want your children to learn. But then again, do not pour out the pain, the anger, the frustration, the hatred that you feel for your spouse. Do not share it with your children. It will affect them negatively. You are not helping the situation. You are not helping the children.